Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation. We're going to be bringing you guys a game. This is a best of three series between Evil Geniuses and Virtus Pro here. So this is game one of this series. This is going to be technically the grand finals to decide first and second place for this cup here. It's the Demon Cup. It's the first cup of the Premier League Season 5, and happy to be able to bring it to you guys here. So going on into the draft now, seeing these two teams set up. For those wondering, it's going to be QPad versus Mousesports after this, but due to some conflict with EMS, we're going to actually swap it up so that they play their match after this one. But first is best of three. We'll see VP and EG take it away here. I myself and Blaze, joined here by Triumphant Man. How's it going, man?
I'm pretty good, and I've noticed in the chat a lot of viewers are really confused as really confused as to how this is working. Some people seem to think that this match will decide who walks away with 15.5 grand. No, that's not quite how it works. Basically, what we have here is once a week there's a series of games, basically a series of matches, and basically the positions decide how many points you win. So right now, EG and Virtus Pro are playing off of first and second place. First place is 100 points. And second place is 50 points. Now, at the end of the series, I think there's about 8 cups or so, 7 or 8 cups, and basically whoever has the most points will then go into a Super Cup. So basically that will decide who actually walks away with the prize money. So basically they're playing for the right to participate in the grand final, which is where all the money will be won. So it's an ongoing league rather than a freestanding tournament per se. But as it is, this is why we'll have Virtus Pro versus EG. That'll decide first and second, and third and fourth. That's 30 and 18 points respectively will be decided between QPad and Mousesports after this best of three series, hopefully. But Blaze, we've got some bans here straight away. Virtus Pro watching that last game. Don't want Demon playing that TA.
Yeah, very, very threatening presence there, and Virtus Pro are going to respond well, and that's probably because they want to pick up the Magnus here. It's very, very frustrating to run a Mag in the mid lane versus a Templar Assassin, and since Virtus Pro does have the first pick here, they think that probably would be the best course of action to be able to guarantee them to have a relatively good lane with the Magnus and make sure that Demon doesn't get to run rampant with that amazing physical damage potential of the Templar Assassin. So Lanai is going to be taken out, as well as the Keeper of the Light, the Wisp, and the Bat Rider. We'll see what gets drafted up as a follow-up, because honestly, the Nyx Assassin is the best support available right now, but we've seen the Bane and Shadow Demon being more and more prioritized of late because of how frequent the Lifestealer has been picked up. So Lifestealer, Lone Druid, the Nyx Assassin, and the Magnus, heroes to look for here.
Indeed. Also should mention that both teams are running a stand at the moment. We've got Clippets there standing for Virtus Pro, and also PowerNet on EG standing in for BDiz. Apparently BDiz has a flight to catch, so he can't be here for this final match. But yes, as you said, of course, Lifestealer, pretty much flavor of the month. He most likely picked up, I believe, especially since Virtus Pro does favor those sort of aggressive heroes. Also expecting Lone Druid, also another good choice here for Virtus Pro. We'll see if they decide to grab that one up. Virtus Pro pretty much do not leave home without some kind of push power, so we'll probably see them pick up the Lone Druid, maybe the Furion as well, but we'll see what they've got in mind.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the stand-ins shape things up a little bit differently here, because KSI is not being available here for this match specifically, so Virtus Pro's run with Cliffets. Not sure if he's as good of a Lone Druid player comparatively, but they go ahead and first pick it anyways. Going to try to do what they can with that hero there. Along with that, PowerNet, for those that don't know him, he played a lot in Dota 1, had the MYM National Series there that he did a really good job in. He's played a variant roles. I mean, he's done some really good Earthshaker play and stuff like that, but his big thing most recently was carry play, and he was considered to be well up there. Either way, going to be standing in here for, it was BDiz, so whether supportive or in a kind of a number one role, we'll have to see exactly what they set him up for, but early on, just picking up some great heroes to deal with the Lone Druid, the Bane, and the Lifestealer. And in turn, Virtus Pro very quickly picking up the Clockwork and Rubik, kind of expecting that draft from EG.
I mean, I think it's a smart pick from Virtus Pro. Rubik, of course, great against Bane, being able to steal those Fiend Grips very easily. Of course, Bane, though, being picked up because he does help deal with the Spirit Bear quite a lot as well. Storm Spirit, though, being picked up at EG, so it looks like they're going for, again, more of those Infest Bombs, that mobility hero being picked up to pair off with the Lifestealer. That's it, as we saw with Fnatic. They need to be careful. I mean, it needs to be used in moderation. Can't go overboard with it because, of course, sometimes you can find it difficult to get those pickoffs. That said, though, Virtus Pro are less likely to be able to get those counter ganks in that easy. They don't really have those huge lockdown abilities. Of course, we saw the Bane really causing issues for Storm Spirit before trying to do that, but in this case, they have the Bane, so we'll see what Virtus Pro have in mind to finish up. That said, they're probably looking for another supporter because I expect that Clockwork to go mid.
Yeah, that's most likely there. It has, I mean, there's still potential for like Rubik to use telekinesis to force people in the cogs in the laning situation, but they'd benefit so much more if Clockwork felt comfortable jumping on into favorable engagements. Because honestly, if you can get tanky on the Clockwork, you can not only cage the lifesteal, but get up close and personal to the Bane and make sure Fiend's Grip is not going to be an issue. Interrupted immediately with the battery assault or just with the cogs, the hookshot, well placement. Bane has a lot of issues with actually getting his ultimate off in full when you look at the Clockwork's potential to completely nullified. And then, of course, Rubik having the easy opportunity to spell steal it and making it a more powerful tool for themselves than the opponent, and making it so that Lifestealer does get disabled up. And that's important because otherwise the Lifestealer will do a heck of a lot of damage, especially to that Spirit Bear who has such a large HP pool. His armor's pretty solid as well, but the big thing is that Feast right-clicking away there. It's kind of a yin-yang relationship between Lifestealer and the Lone Druid. The chance to get entangled during Rage is very, very frustrating, but the ability to feast down on the high HP targets is really good for him in turn. So interesting back and forth there, but we'll see later in the game them kind of going back and forth. Right now, though, it's going to be about initiation disables, and I kind of feel really good about Virtus' Pro's lineup. Even if they run the Clockwork as a support, the mid, of course, is going to be the preference, but either way, they have a lot of potential with those two heroes.
I mean, you spoke about Bane and how it can be a little bit difficult for him to get in there with his spells. I'm not too worried about it just because he's not going to be in the front line. He can just sort of meander in there because right now, Virtus Pro, they don't have any huge, massive burst firepower there, so it's not as critical for Bane to instantly get in there and just get his shutdown happening straight away. He can sort of wait and say, you know, he can just wait, just bide his time and wait for Lone Druid. And like you said, Lone Druid and Lifesteal sort of getting that irritating sort of yin-yang relationship where Lifesteal is feasting away and then Lone Druid's bashing and proccing roots. And Bane can just wait for them to sort of just get stuck in and then come out and sort of meander at the most unexpected moment and then grip Lone Druid and throw out, of course, the Nightmare on the bed just to shut him down, and then that'll let Lifestealer finish him off. So I think he can definitely wait for that and just wait until Clockwork, Rubik, and Storm Spirit have already sort of charged in and started mixing up, already started to exchange spells. So I think he's got that opportunity because he doesn't have to worry about stuff at the moment, like Lena or Queen of Pain just instantly blitzing people while they're not looking.
Mm-hmm. So this will be interesting to see how it kind of plays on out. The Storm is going to be aggressive with the Nake's bombs, as we've seen multiple games throughout this tournament today. So seeing that potential, Storm Spirit initiating, Ball Lightning, and the Infest. It wasn't as effective for Fnatic, but I expect to see it used to rather great effect with Evil Geniuses here, trying to jump on into the relatively squishy heroes. Clockwork early on, he doesn't have all that much armor to work with, so to speak, with his agility gain not really kicking in until later stages. And the Rubik, of course, being very squishy, but a Necrolite pickup kind of shifts up the meta a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of bands going back and forth. There's a lot to say about them, but I want to talk about this Necrolite a little bit and seeing his potential here. The big thing is low targets that drop down to half HP are suddenly the Reaper Scythe will be able to kind of seal the deal on them, depending on if he has Aghanims or just rank 1, 2, or 3 the ultimate. It does a certain coefficient of health missing and deals that damage outright. So it's going to be really good for just damage output on kind of getting the finishing blow on somebody. If he does get the kill, he gets crazy HP and mana regen. And then on top of that, it's a stun that pierces through magic immunity. So even if Lifestealer doesn't take the damage, you can just Reaper Slice a full HP Lifestealer and get that time period where you can set up with a lot of potential for Entangle procs from the Druid or get the Clockwork in position. A lot of different things there. So a great hero overall. And the interesting thing here is he's going to be more so than stacking up raw HP, static HP, he's going to get it more dynamically through spamming out a heal. The Death Pulse, the mechanism, stuff like that will allow him to stay active in the middle of a fight and just gradually take the victory, just gradually damage down the opponents nearby and, of course, heal himself up to near full. That's going to be his main intention here, and I'm curious to see how it'll work out.
I'm just wondering where they're going to put him at the moment. It's just picked up the Outworld Devourer. The question is whether he's going to wind up... I mean, this could possibly be support Clockwork backing up the Rubik and the Necrolite, and I think they might even give the Necrolite the primary farm if they put Outworld in the mid lane and then put Lone Druid in the off lane. So we'll see what they've got in mind. But you got any thoughts on that, Blades? How they're going to run those lanes.
The laning situation, yeah. I mean, Outworld Devourer is definitely going to be in the mid lane there. We've seen that multiple times over. I believe TMW is the one that runs him the most, but it just kind of getting some control in that situation is going to allow him to outlast hit this Storm Spirit insanely well. So guaranteed OD, and is going to be chasing down the Storm, either looking for an opportunity to solo him in the... Well, it would be Outworld's aggressive lane and Storm Spirit's safe lane, so down on bottom there. But if he's expecting him in the mid, then that's of course where he will be. Other than that, we're going to be seeing most likely the solo Lone Druid, and then from there you can probably see Clockwork as its support in this situation. So Necrolite will be the primary farmer in the tri lane, and then Clockwork will be the one that tries to set him up as much as possible, because Necrolite, the longer it goes on, the better he is, and so the Clockwork Cogs adds in about 5 seconds to that, if you can get him locked in place there. So that's going to be a pretty big deal, but it's going to still have some issues going up against Visage, Bane, and Lifestealer. That is an amazing tri-lane in and of itself.
We'll see what they decide to bust out here. One last pick, though, for EG. Got 20 seconds left on the clock. And I see they've probably got their 2 supports here in the form of Visage and Bane. So it looks like they're... Well, it depends whether or not they go for the offensive lane with the lifesteal, the Bane, the Visage, or if they decide to just play it safe. And then they play it safe, they're probably going to pick up an offlaner of some sort. I mean, Darkseid's not available, but they go, okay, then, never mind. EG. Twice in one night. Here we go. Drow Ranger. This should be interesting. I mean, look at this. This is going to be a lot of extra damage with the Drow Ranger with the Aura up and running fairly early on, so we'll see what they decide to go with here. And of course the Silence. I mean, you're talking about Necrolite and his dynamic health pool. Well, if he's Silence, that dynamic health pool doesn't really mean squat, so this could be a problem for him.
Yeah, an unorthodox pick, but one that's very, very appropriate in this situation. They've already drafted up so many ranged heroes, Bane, Storm Spirit, and the Visage. By the way, as familiars, if they're close enough to the Aura, they're going to be setting it up so the familiars dish out a ton of damage really, really quickly as well. So that's going to be a really, really nice combo to have with Drow Ranger and her Precision Aura there. But in general, it's just she has that silence. She's going to provide good lockdown for caster line heroes, specifically the Necrolite. So I think it's an amazing pick here, and not sure what that's about. But as a whole, I really, really think that the Drow Ranger is a solid pick, despite the fact that she may risk losing her marksmanship. There's a good chance that the Clockwork will be up close and personal with her as well, and if the positioning is inappropriate, she won't have that bonus agility. But like I said, PowerNet was renowned as one of the better carry players in North America for a very large period of time, so we'll see him on this Drow, kind of old school in it, and I think it'll make quite a bit of an impact.
Either way, I think this should be a lot of fun. We'll see how much of an impact Drow can make this game. That said, I'm definitely worried about the amount of damage that Outlaw Devourer can dish out. He can deal a very disgusting amount of damage in a very short period of time. And you know what? Drow may not get up and running fast enough to really deal with him. Of course, Standing's Eclipse is really, really painful. If Devourer manages to pick up that early mech and then go straight into a 4-staff, I might just even skip the mech and say, screw it, we'll just let Necrolite get that and just go straight for his 4-staff and just get stuck with that. He dishes out so much damage, and then he's got that huge nuke for team fighting to back it up. I am definitely somewhat worried about that.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure of where they're going to put the OD now that we see that TMW has picked up the Necro. I mean, they could easily run solo Necro, and then I guess you could tri-lane the Outworld just because he has so much right-click potential. We'll see specifically, but right now they're pulling him regen. He's going in for early Null Talisman, a couple of branches, and he's pulled up 190 gold worth of HP restorative. So it looks like he's going to go on a solo lane where he's going to try to win it 100%, like 100% convincingly dominate in CS and just dominate as far as harassment goes. That's kind of the main intention of Outworld in this position, is he will not lose a 1v1 lane, and so that's going to be the main mentality here. Of course, he would love to match up against the Storm Spirit, but if all EG are focused on right now is making sure that the laning situation doesn't have Storm versus OD, because that is going to be disastrous. That Storm is going to be levels behind. He's going to have no right-click potential. He's going to have limited mana pool when it comes down to his Ball Lightning, and suddenly he's just not even a force to be reckoned with. He's one on the side, just trying to do what he can, maybe a little stun action, but as a whole, Illidan is designed to counter pick up against that Storm, and we'll see how effective it can be if he actually does get that lane off.
If he gets that lane, I think Demon, for all the good he can do, I think he's in a lot of trouble. I have to agree with you completely there. I don't think he's going to get a lot of farm he wants at the minute. Of course, spamming the crap out of Imprisonment is a huge, huge pain in the butt. But that said, it looks like we've got a bit of a sweep coming out here from Virtus Pro. That's going to jump into their own jungle and check things out. I was looking at the Bear's build. Yeah, that looks very much like an off-lane build there for the Bear. So he'll probably be winding up and just trying to jack that creep pull and just doing what he can there. That said, of course, you know what can mess up really hardcore, of course, trying to grab those creep pulls can be screwed over entirely just if you time the Nightmare at the right moment. And it looks like Demon is actually going to go on the safe lane. So it looks like they're going to try. They know how much trouble that Storm Spirit is going to be if he goes in up against the Outward Devourer. So they're trying to rotate him away from that immediately. And it's going to be Drow in the mid. Is this why they picked up this Drow? To try and throw him off, throw the Drow in mid and screw him over?
Yeah, what they're going to do is they're not going to... I was talking about if he goes safe lane and they do an aggressive try, then the OD will hunt him down there. If he goes mid, of course, the OD will be there waiting for him. But in this situation, they're making it so it's impossible for OD to pin him down because he's going to be in a tri-lane. Tri-lane Storm Spirit isn't unheard of. Along with that... Rambo with this Papa John's on nonstop. Anyways, to make this work, they're actually sending Lifestealer on the off lane. Not exactly what they intended for when they picked him up initially, because he was very, very early in the draft. But the fact is, Lifestealer's flexible. He picked up this Stout Shield. He's been pulled a ton of regen. He has the Tangos. He bought 2 sets and a cell himself, so he is in a situation where he can just survive, pick up Rage early, and the big thing he has to worry about is just making sure he's not in range of cogs, which since they don't have the best setup for it, just telekinesis, it's possible for him to survive in this situation. And so it's going to be difficult. He's not going to find any farm, but it's going to be better than them putting the OD versus an Elect hero and getting screwed over there. So instead we see Drow picked up by PowerNet, running on the mid lane against Illidan's Outworld Devourer, and that's going to be a very, very interesting lane.
To be honest, Blaze, I'm surprised that he is going towards top. I thought he would have said screw it and just gone into the jungle. I mean, like you said, he's just going to survive, but at the same time, he's going to be hanging so far back because it's double range harass they can deal with. And of course, if we see Necrolite go with the Heartstop Aurora, well, they might just go for Sadist so he can spam his spell, but he won't even need to spam that hard. I mean, he can just go for the Heartstopper, and it's going to just burn away at Bambo, the double range harass. He might just be better off just going, you know what, bugger it, jungle time. And I think he is. Let's see, he's just going for, he says, all right, there's a Trilane up there, I'm just going to go in jungle.
Nice. Very, very nice Invis rune for the bear, actually. Allowing him to get to the creep wave and then break his invisibility right when he wants to. Actually sets up the Lone Druid in a great position here. Is this the stand-in? Yeah, Cliffitz is going to be, or K Liffitz, I'm not sure which, but either way, he's going to be the one running the bear. And right now, body blocking this pull, making sure that despite no ward action, they're not going to be able to go and stack it at the first minute. And then at the 45-second mark, he's going to go ahead and break the invisibility and start moving that creep wave. That's going to help him so much. We're going to have to probably see an early Nightmare Force just to make sure that the bear doesn't get what he wants. Not breaking the Invis just yet, though. I'm kind of surprised at this. I'm not sure if he is waiting a moment to do it or letting it expire. Either way, here come the creeps. Oh, because he can't attack. I'm an idiot, sorry. He can't attack from that distance, so he's waiting for it to expire, and luckily gets the perfect timing for him to be able to fall back from here. Fear doing some harassment, but it's going to be on the Bane to get the Nightmare off here, and yeah, there goes the creeps right back the other direction.
Yeah, like I said, this is going to really mess up his ability to pull those creeps. All it's going to do is just continually nightmare this bear. Every time it tries to go for a pull, and there we go, they're going to harass it as well. It's going to cause a fair bit of damage. And in the mid lane, though, it looks like, we're just going to look at the last hits here. Drow currently sitting on 1 and 3. Devourer on 3 and 7. Devourer actually doing a lot better than Drow. In fact, he opened up there with that Null Talisman. I believe he's been pulled some regen as well.
Yeah, he got pulled both sources of regen, so he's feeling fine and dandy there, but his Astral Imprisonment is only giving him bonus intellect. It's not actually stopping Drow from doing too much, because even if she's sitting on no mana, I mean, all she's doing is orb effect harassment with the Frost Arrows, which only cost 12 mana themselves. So, as a whole, PowerNet is okay with taking the debuff of Astral Imprisonment. It's just the OD benefiting from it due to the positive intellect gain. Either way, right now, CS shows that Drow Ranger is sitting at 3 and 3, OD at 6 and 9, and those denies are crucial for OD to control the lane.
And we'll see how it goes. Of course, Drow is just getting nastier and nastier because she can spam that orb a lot harder than OD can spam his. I mean, of course, he's going to use the imprisonment as much as he can to try and get the extra damage in. The Drow's obviously the biggest advantage is she's got the bigger range there. It's really going to allow her to harass much easier. And of course, with the orb as well, she's not even going to draw a creep aggro when she just goes into those harassing hits. Meanwhile, though, Bambo doing fairly smart here. He's just using the choke point jungling, so he just only gets hit by 1 creep at a time just to mitigate the amount of damage he's taking. So smart moves from him there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Making sure he cuts himself off.
So surviving
Looks
through
like
that
a big gank
effectively.
on mid, though.
Yeah, looking at smoke mid, they do only have cogs and telekinesis, but it might be enough to bring down PowerNet. They are going to go in. Prison sets it up, and here come the cogs after the telekinesis, putting it right on top. ars-art pins in PowerNet. This should be first blood here. The right clicks are there, and they do set it up for Illidan to take it away. This lane is going to get out of control very quickly. He's going to pick up his boots of speed here and just be in a great position to just completely dominate from this point forward.
I mean, we could complain about Drow being super squishy like Zeus and being easy to kill, but at the same time, I mean, 3v1 with 3 disables, you know, it doesn't really... Unless you have a built-in blink like Queen of Pain, you're probably buggered there no matter what you do. So I'm not too surprised to see Drow get picked off. And I mean, of course, they did blow a smoke, so it is a fairly hefty investment for them, so it's no real surprise that they succeed in the kill. And unless Bane and... unless Bane as well as Necrolic decide to get stuck in with their own smoke, they're probably not going to see a return kill there.
Yeah.
On the Outworld Devourer himself.
So mid is kind of going to go the way of OD very, very quickly. Obviously, top lane, having been abandoned, it's going to go for TMW. Just as a point of comparison, we're going to be looking at Demon being a primary farmer down on bottom versus a Necrolite being the primary farmer up top. Two that you don't generally see, but kind of going back and forth. They're going to try to increase their mana pools very substantially, and of course, in the terms of Necrolite, he's going for higher health values. early on. Definitely a mechanism would be what he wants to look at if he expects the clockwork to be delayed on it. But the big deal here is that with Demon farming this much, he's going to go for a very fast Orchid. This is like Klink's timing Orchid, as far as just getting it out so early and going for ganks as a result of that. And meanwhile, there's just so much harassment coming out on the bot lane that the Lone Druid has himself had to fall back to jungle. And you look at his levels, he's not even 2.5 based on how much he's been delayed on that bottom lane.
I mean, I like the point of the Orchid. If he gets that Orchid up and running, we're going to see Devour as well as the Necrolite become so vulnerable to getting picked off and ganked. If they can't cast their spells, they're dead meat. They're so easy to pick off, so low health in effect. Although I'm just wondering if we might even see Devour. He could actually even go for... I mean, it's not a very common item, but he might decide to pick up... he might even decide to pick up the Rod of Atos just because it gives him a lot of extra health and he's feeling fairly squishy, especially since it's likely the Necrolite will go for the mech for him instead. But we'll see whether or not...
Yeah, I definitely like the Atos as a possible mid-game item for him to kind of close the distance there, but we do see him pick up a Buckler here, so it's actually going to be Illidan is the one that's going to be grabbing out that mechanism, and they're going to let Necrolite go for something else.
Maybe he'll just go straight for a Hex, or I mean, he could even, I suppose, just go straight for a Bloodstone if they're going straight for that kind of stuff. I mean, if he gets it early enough, it's definitely quite powerful if he can get those charges up on it. I mean, it's likely they're going to clash fairly early on as well with these heroes, especially with Storm Spirit likely to be jumping around, trying to set up those kills with the lifesteal. You see a bit of a rocket harass gets thrown down there in the bottom lane, but they should be able to take out this tower fairly easily. I mean, right now, Clifford's abandoned this lane quite a while ago, decided, you know what, this isn't working out, just went to jungle, and he is actually going to catch up and see just how fast he's jungling. Bambo playing the lifesteal. Lifesteal, of course, while he can jungle, it's not very efficient. It looks like PowerNet possibly about to get ganked again. Another smoke gank incoming on the mid lane, although he backs up as it looks like Illidan just gave the game away a little bit. In fact, they're going to walk straight into Bambo here.
Yeah, interesting positioning there. They cog him away. They tried to telekinesis him back on into it. He will take some harassment from the cogs, but it's not going to net any big damage. Instead, they're going to go for the open wounds. The frost arrows from the low ground, one missing, but otherwise doing a lot of damage here, slowing down ars-art. They're going to get this final frost arrow to secure the kill. This is exactly what they wanted. The timing's perfect, but there's an astral imprisonment. He can spam the cogs. Bambo getting in close so that he doesn't have to worry about the cogs. They do net the kill. Silence on both of them now. Bursting down onto OD is the intention, but he does have that big sanity eclipse. Drops the hammer there, is able to finish off on the lifestealer, and now going toe-to-toe with PowerNet. Another prison. Getting a salve up. He is ready to duel in this position here, but it's actually Jo that's going to come on forward. He saw it with the Observer Ward. He's going to fall back from here. But Team W, Reaper Scythe will connect. Gets the stun out here. The right-click damage is there. Is it going to be enough? Rocket Flare and, yeah, the damage from Necrolite. Just hitting too hard. I believe that Death Pulse connected belatedly, but man, that Force Staff couldn't have come at a better time. And now, closing on in, Clockwork gets a great position onto Bane, locking him in the cogs and bringing him down as well. 4-1. Virtus Pro taking this game away.
I am very surprised that EG, they weren't rotating. Virtus Pro said, alright, we've got a running fight here. They started bringing heroes in, cleaning up, and I mean, they picked up a good 3 kills there. Whereas, I mean, we had heroes with TPs. Bane had a TP, didn't TP. He actually meandered over there on foot. We have Storm Spirit, who could have TP'd in quite easily as well, helped out. But these heroes just not showing up to the fight. And Visage as well, in fact, had the money for a TP, decided not to go for one either, just sort of sat around up in the top lane, didn't really help out. I mean, obviously, you had the couple of heroes, obviously, well, actually, no, they abandoned the lane. He could have just run over to the shop and bought a TP and showed up. But as it is, Virtus Pro rotating heroes, securing kills, and EG just sort of letting people die.
Yeah, I mean, the timing was, it was a smoke gank coming on through, but it was towards the tier 2 of the Evil Geniuses, and I completely agree with you. They could have responded more directly, but instead just kind of let it slip away, and good movement from the Necrolite, getting the right place at the right time, getting a Force Staff before boots for that 600 movement speed burst. I mean, that's just crazy. So, yeah, in this spot, I mean, it is crazy playing it. Tame My Wealth, his alias there. But either way, he goes in, he rushes out that Force Staff and uses it to perfect effect. That stun was just long enough to bring down the Drow Ranger, and a little bit of extra burst damage because of that ultimate. It's really perfect setup for them, and I just have to say they executed it beyond perfectly.
I mean, the boots are fine. I don't have no problem not buying the boots at the moment because, well, obviously he's picked them up now, but going straight for the Force Staff, no real problem because he's not really planning to leave this lane. He's saying, you know what, I'm just going to sit here and farm, and, well, this Force Staff's going to give him that instantaneous escape mech. If he needs it, he can use it to get in and out of cogs if necessary, and, right, you know, gives him attack damage, attack speed, all that sort of good stuff, so why not?
Yeah, very
Doesn't really need the boots.
And now he has that mobility all game long. I mean, he's worried about different things like the next bomb. As long as he gets a little bit more tank on him, that Force Staff is going to allow him to pull out of a really rough situation with all these slowing effects. The Grave Chill, the open wounds there, I mean, he kind of shrugs them off when you think about Force Staff and being a static distance. It doesn't matter how fast you're rolling, so that's going to be pretty important here. But another thing that's coming into play in this game here is something you talked about in the previous game with the Storm Spirit, is looking at the possibility of switching over to Bloodstone early, and that's what Demon's doing. Instead of going for an Orchid, which I feel would be really great against Necrolite, but still the Bloodstone is going to make its own impact, and we're going to see it here as he can disassemble the Arcane Boots and build it up extremely quickly.
I mean, it's definitely going to help prevent him from being insta-gibbed, as well as the fact, I mean, if you can get it early, it's such a huge boost for Nidum, but you have to get it early and you have to start racking up those charges. It's not great if you sort of get it fairly late on. It looks like he's going to jump in here, going to try and take out ars-art, drags him back in there with the static, as it looks like he might be able to bring him down here. Another zap there as he gets off again, another static remnant, and will bring him down. It's only level 2, but those overload charges as well, very, very good. The electric vortex pinning him down for long enough.
Yeah, now that you mention it, that's a really interesting skill build, going in for the Storm Spirit there. Of course, 3 in Vortex is pretty common. The 2-second stun is the timing you need, because you do slow yourself down as well when you're using it. But in general, the 2 in Remnant, the 2 in Overload, I think is just what the Doctor ordered for that situation there, where he wanted to do that as much burst damage as possible in that short time frame.
Well, I mean, he can afford to put a couple extra points into Remnant rather than the Overload, because he's not really trading hits or harassing in the lane, just because the Lone Druid obviously just said, screw this lane, got the hell out. And of course, even with the Lone Druid stay there, he's got 2 supports backing him up in lane, so he's just, you know what, let me just get the extra static Remnant, because it's going to help him. He can just burst down the waves a little bit faster and help push. But it looks like the counter push now from Virtus.pro are going to go for that tier 1 mid tower. And it's going to be a bit of a problem for Drow. In fact, they might even start trading positions with her, as well as the Storm Spirit, put Storm Spirit back into the middle, send him around to go and gank, and let Drow go and farm that bottom lane, because of course she does have quite a presence towards the late game.
Now, Denied, his attempt to buy Vistas Familiars, they have a lot of potential to get that to work, but instead just not getting the chance. There's going to be a prison coming out as well on the Storm Spirit Demon running on around there. But one thing I want to mention real quick is the synergy between the Outworld Devourer and that Necrolite. Going in, just spamming out Death Balls after Death Balls. If you can get just one single Essence Aura proc and bring up your mana pool substantially, then you only just need one pair of Arcane Boots. We're going to see it picked up, I believe, by the Rubik. And then from there, you just use Essence Aura, and that's all you really need to keep your mana fueled, because you spam out those spells so darn frequently, and you can switch over to Intreds if it's most appropriate for him.
Yeah, I mean, even Clockwork's going to benefit from that. Like you said, just spamming out those cheap rockets. All these spells are fairly cheap. You can just keep dropping them to try and pick up a bit of extra mana there. But now the push coming out from Virtus.pro, like I said, they don't leave home without their push power of some sort, and they've got it here in the form of the sustained push there with the heals, as well as that bear just chewing through that tower, though. What level is he has managed to match? No, it's not maxed out yet. Still only level 3. So he'll be getting that demolished a little bit later. In fact, he hasn't quite managed to get that last level up, but TP's to mid.
Gonna try to make this happen here. Sanity Eclipse drops down onto Jo, burning down very hardcore, but Grave Shield will speed away the Visage. He won't be able to close on in unless they can get a hook shot, but unfortunately not level 6 yet. Bambo does get stunned out, however, really good Reaper size. Closing on in, they do bring him down and get the Sadist regen on top of that Necrolite, doing a lot there, but now trapped in the cogs. Mechanism comes out to keep Clockwork up. A very, very close call, but he survives. Good prison, good Mechanism. They keep him up and active, and Demon will pick up a double damage rune, but without a bottle, it's not really going to allow him to initiate any further. So they just get the pick off. They rotate TPs. They couldn't save the tower, but they did pick up the tower kill for their own, so it bounces out. Lifestealer will, of course, get the final last hit bounty, but unfortunately pays with his life, as there was just such great rotation. 1 teleporting to the tier 2, then immediately 2 teleporting to the tier 1, and they got in and were able to make that a big fight. Now pushing on the tier 2, battle cry up on the bear, wailing on this tier 2 tower, and the fortification was expended on bottom, so this should drop very, very quickly. Looking for the deny, it will come out for the Visage this time around. Familiars doing work there, but taking a lot of damage as well from that Arcane Orb.
I mean, right now, EG, they're losing towers left, right, and center. I don't even really... I mean, some people might be blaming the Drow, but I don't necessarily blame the Drow all that much. Obviously, she got shut down early on, a couple of good ganks on her there. But I mostly blame just the fact that... well, Virtus.pro, they're rotating their heroes a lot better. They're actually coming, assisting in ganks, fighting, counter-ganking, and they're also moving. I mean, this is 5-man Dodo for them. They're charging around as a group, as 5, setting up these fights, setting up these ganks, and setting up these pushes. Now they've got this little bit of an early lead. They're really capitalized on it, and they do have the better team fight, whereas right now EG are more looking for the pickoffs, and they're not really finding, especially since Storm Spirit isn't really built for it. He's still trying to farm as sort of a mid-game carry. He's really looking for that. He really, really wants to finish off that Bloodstone, which, in fact, he's almost got it. In fact, just a couple more 100 gold, but in the same time, he's waited like well, it's not even that long. It's only 13.5 minutes in, but he's not able to fight just yet, which is the issue. He's not able to stop these 5-man pushes.
Yeah, exactly that. He isn't late by time scale, but as far as the momentum, as far as the control that Virtus Pro has gotten, he feels like he is kind of on his last opportunity to actually pick it up and make a difference with it, because you get 6 charges outright, but you really have to actually scale them up quickly and get a couple kills early on in order to make the mana regen worthwhile and make that item pickup what you actually need, because in this position they're getting pushed in from all sides. Roche is now kind of in the control of Virtus Pro comparatively, and it just becomes more and more dangerous for them. Now we see EG doing a bit of rotation that we saw in their previous match, but of their opponents, is that we're going to see Lifesteal go into the enemy jungle, farming away, while there is a tier 2 people pushing up on the tier 2 top as well. The question is the rotation coming in for Virtus Pro. Right now, not going that direction at all, and kind of to my surprise that they're not controlling in that position.
I think they're actually just going to go for Roshan instead. They're going to grab that up quickly. It looks like the bear is actually going for the armlet. He's going to try and pick that up. He's going to have Tamar Wild head down to help take out this Roshan kill right now. And I think the Radiant side, they know they're in here. They've seen them. They've got multiple wards watching that Roshan entrance there. And there we go. There's the ping. They know what's going on, but it looks like they're just going to let it happen. They don't really want to try and force a team fight here at the moment. So I'm just checking to see what the Necrolite's going for. 1,800 gold here. There we go. The Familiar's going to jump in here. They're going to try and stun things up, slow it down. See if Storm can jump in, set up a fight, or at least manage to nick off with the Aegis there. Or maybe even snake a kill there with the Familiars. There Storm jumps in. He gets the Aegis there.
And he gets the Roche kill too.
Oh, wow. What a steal there from Storm. Jumps out as well. Still has that Aegis. Nicely stolen. Didn't even need to participate in the team fight.
Holy crap, that timing was perfect from Demon. I mean, he just jumped in there, ball lighting with Overload simultaneously. He gets the right click off, and that finishes off Roshan. It didn't even show up as a snatch because he got the kill himself. Gets it for Radiant, gets a ton of experience. Now level 12, he has a second life, he has his Bloodstone. Demon making the plays happen there. That's just incredible timing from him.
That is definitely very lucky. Virtus Pro then going to charge in through their own jungle. Look for a kill. I hear the hook come out. Doesn't hit anything. No Demon now. Kind of falling low, man. He needs to be careful. He doesn't get picked off here. Doesn't really want to blow that Aegis just as soon as he's got it. Outward Devourer though. Got to keep this in mind that it looks like he's going straight for a Hex, I think. He's got 2,300 gold in the bank. And once he gets that Hex, I think Demon may be a little bit of an easy fodder for him if he isn't going for that quick BKB.
That definitely set Virtus Pro a little bit back. They were kind of shaken of the fact that they put all that time into Roche. It was an easy free rush for them. No way that they could lose it, and they don't get anything out of it. They actually hand a ton over to that Evil Geniuses now going on the tier 2 and mid. They're the ones fighting 6v5. They're comfortable in this position, and Clockwork having used his ultimate, Necrolite as well, they're waiting for those cooldowns to come back up, and meanwhile, AG is making use of that time. He has to lose a tier 1 in the process, but it looks like they got this tier 2 under wraps here, and this is just a big swing around for Evil Geniuses, and we see just this gigantic swing on Golden Experience. Ridiculous timing, working out for them so nicely. And Lone Druid does have his Armlet. He is going to be able to do a ton of single target damage as well as survive very effectively against Bambo's right clicks, but just falling back on out, Drow TPs to the top, and there's going to be a quick infest, allowing Bambo to just jump on out of there. So, back and forth. It's anybody's game at this stage. I've really felt Virtus Pro had huge amounts of control, but that Roche swing completely changes the game.
And very good steal indeed. And unfortunately, they don't have, well, I mean, there wasn't really any lockdown they could throw in there. And I mean, I figure they probably knew it was coming in. They had, of course, the Familiars skulking about, getting ready to try possibly snag the kill for themselves there. But now we got Lone Druid into some trouble. They see the bear, the smoke anchor, and then we go. Demon's going to dive in here, going to get that electric vortex down as we see the Fiend Grip being stacked on top of an easy kill there. Not really anything you can do about that. And that quick snipe, going to charge up the Bloodstone just a little bit, and they will sneak off into the night there, as it looks like not much Virtus Pro can do. They don't really have the mobility to try and stop that. And I think this may become an issue, Blaze. The fact they don't really have a lot of good lockdown here. They may really struggle to catch out this Storm Spirit once he gets that BKB.
Yeah, I mean, they have to kill him twice for the moment, and he's going to be able to pick up some big item very, very shortly. He's already got tons of mana to work with. Yeah, he doesn't have the Essence Aura, but he does have a lot of mana regen outright, 13.7. And at this stage, he can go very, very aggressive, pick up whatever he wants. He sees Necrolite moving in towards that Scythe of Ice, and he's going to have to get something to deal with that. Most likely, as you said, the Black King Bar, going to be the best to avoid that lockdown there. But yeah, just loving the opportunity to build up his mana pool very, very aggressively, and he is just going to be able to jump in like crazy with the opportunity to have a Nake's Bomb inside him every single time. Virtus Pro are going to be the ones on the defensive for quite some time, and we see that a little bit with the ward vision. Observer wards active just on the outskirts of their jungle, meaning that if they just step a little bit beyond their own domain, they're going to be punished for it very, very quickly. And we see Demon caring very, very little about his opponents as he just farms up here despite 3 people pinning on it. He can just go in through the trees, TP away if he needs to, but here comes the bear, swinging away. They're going to go for the telekinesis in just a moment, lifting him on up. They are going to be able to burst him down a little bit. There's the Entangle proc as well, but pulls back in NS. He's going to go for a kill despite all this against him, but just zips on away with that ball lightning. Unfortunately, only so much mana, but they don't engage in the full pursuit.
Well, like I said, they just don't have, like, you want to try and catch it, but they just don't have the ability to catch up to him. He can just zip out of there and just burn his entire pool to get the hell out. I should mention, all this screwing around up at the top lane, trying to chase down Demon, is buying Drow a lot of time to farm. In fact, I think she should have her, she should have a Manta up by now. She's got, she might not even be going for the Manta. She's got 3,100 gold in the bank here. We'll see what she's got in mind. But yeah, if she does want that Manta, it would be a really good buy for her.
Yeah, that would
just so she
provide a lot of potential there. I mean, in this stage, it's very, very difficult to survive against everything. I mean, you're not going to generally be able to Manta out of cogs, though it is technically feasible, but in general, just getting out of an Entangle proc or delivering a huge amount of right-click damage, either one is going to set you very, very far ahead. And
Infest Bomb.
Where's that at? Going up on the
Demon
top lane.
Top lane, yeah.
There we go. They're going to be bursting hard on top of Illidan, burning him down before the Sandy's Clip can go out. No mechanism. He does get the mech. They do, however, get the Reaper Size down on top of a single hero. Just the Sun. Astro imprisoned defensively, but he's going to come out eventually, and they're just waiting, playing whack-a-mole here. They bring him down, but he does get the Sandy's Eclipse off, doing a lot of damage here. Team W focused on down. Fiend's grouped on down, and they do get yet another kill, closing on Liffitz. He's going to go for the TP, but I doubt he'll manage it. No mana. Oh, there's the Vortex. Also the Stone Forms to lock him down. Finally, Nightmare. They cast everything in the book. They just want to make sure he doesn't escape, and yeah, that was a close call, but they get a full team-wide, full initiation coming in on Demon with the Next Bomb, and they call it here. Are you serious?
I think, I don't blame, like right now, they have nothing that can catch this Storm, but there's no way to lock him down. They don't have that Hex up yet, and right now, like you see, look at the tier 2 in the, or rather tier 3 in the mid, there's just no way for them to stop the Storm Spirit. I don't really blame all that much. Sure, if EG did, a patented EG throw, sure, they could get back into this game. But right now, if EG keep things going the way they're going, this Storm Spirit's got 11 charges in that Bloodstone. He's gaining back mana so quickly. And he's well on his way to his next item. You see there, he's already picked up the Ultimate Orb as well. They just don't have anything to catch him. Yeah. And they don't have the burst potential. I mean, it's not like they can throw a Laguna Blade and then try and hit him with a Reaper's Scythe. There's just no way to catch the little bugger.
And yeah, that's just too much for them to handle. They had some good control there in early fights. I mean, they were sitting at 4-1 in one position, and now conceding the game 8-5 just because they know how advanced the Storm has gotten. Getting his rank 3 and his ultimate would only make matters worse, and it's just going to get harder and harder to go against from there. But it's so weird because, I mean, he only had a Bloodstone and the Ultimate Orb, but it's honestly completely understandable because they didn't have the lockdown. The best they could do is maybe like try to go for double 4-staffs to try to pin him down when he's running low on mana, but in general, Demon in just such a great position, and they did have 2 other carries. They had the Lifesteal, they had the Drow Ranger, and those guys could follow it up, and that meant Virtus Pro were forced into early game dominance, which just didn't work out.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got to keep in mind, we've got the Lifestealer here. At 20 minutes, he has a Midas, Armlet, he's got Helm of the Domino as well. Drow just spent, like, you see the end game screen, doesn't look like she's got much. She just spent more than 3,000 gold on an item, so that's probably either the rest of her Manta style, or it's an Eagle Song for a Butterfly. So like you said, they've got 2 huge hard-hitting people, and it's up against an Outward Devourer. Sure, he's good, but he's not that good, and Lone Druid didn't get that much farm. You see, the gold per minute's only 244, so there's not much you can do to catch up to the 417 GPM Bambo and the 440 GPM PowerNet on top of the freaking Storm Spirit.
Yeah, that was definitely the play of the game. MVP easily Demon here with that shift around of the Roche. Everything looked really bad for them until that point in time, but they got that. Then they started getting a couple kills, a couple pick-offs here and there, and then they won that last fight 4-0. And at that stage, it's just completely understandable that VP want to go into the next game. It is, of course, a best-of-3 series, so we will see if Virtus Pro kind of shakes off the fear that Demon has put in them, or if they're going to be dropped down 2-0. We'll be seeing the next game coming up in just a little bit, but thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that little bit between Evil Geniuses and Virtus Pro. This is, again, the grand finals for our Cup number 1, the Demon Edge Cup, for the Premier League Season 5. So we're going on into the next one. This is Blaze and Triumph, and we thank you for tuning on in.
Demon's freaking cup indeed.